When I unexpectedly lost my daughter's trust fund, the groom's father revealed an incredible truth. The phone rang, shattering the morning calm as Sarah held her breath, absorbing the gravity of the news. "Your father's trust fund, it's vanished." The attorney's voice echoed through her mind, blending with the laughter of her kindergarten class just a few steps away. The room spun as the walls closed in, reminding her of the delicate life she had built with Lily. Every handcrafted decoration in their little home, a testament to their love. This was more than money. It was the safety net she had woven for her daughter's future. With the engagement party for Lily and Mark just days away, what would losing that fund mean for them? Sarah's fingers trembled, her gut clenching in discomfort. The brush of realization sparked an overwhelming tide of betrayal. She had dedicated her life to those children, instilling the importance of responsibility. Yet here she was, trapped beneath the weight of unearned privilege and a crumbling legacy. Her mind sputtered with questions. What had her father done? Buried secrets that could undermine everything? Just as she pondered the absurdity of her situation, the children erupted into giggles, painting clouds on the sidewalk with their chalk. They had no idea of the storm brewing just beneath their cheerful surface. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Gathering her composure, Sarah became acutely aware of the churning emotions within her. Confusion, anger, despair rallied against an ember of hope. Lily would soon walk down the aisle, yet here she was, questioning everything about their inheritance. And as the engagement party approached, she couldn't shake the feeling that turbulent waters awaited them. Would Mark's father reveal family secrets as he roamed the edges of their lives like a specter haunting their happiness? When the party arrived, laughter filled the air, but the haunting possibility lingered beneath the surface, pressing down her chest as guests mingled, drinks flowed, and a toast commenced. Her heart raced as she caught sight of Mark's father, his eyes heavy with unspoken burdens, waiting to speak. As she stood before the punch bowl, a wave of panic washed over her, leaving her to wonder whether exposing all the hidden connections would fracture not only the engagement, but the very bond she had forged with her daughter. She swallowed hard, knowing that keeping silent could protect the fragile balance they'd carved, but at what cost? She had dedicated her life to protecting Lily, but now that meant wrestling with the moral complexity of silence versus the grim potential of unveiling a cruel twist of fate. A storm brewed within her, and just as the laughter from the party crescendoed, Mark's father stepped forward, his voice ready to spill a truth that could unravel their lives. As the room fell silent, the echoes of happiness faded, and Sarah could almost hear her heart that felt both urgent and shattered. Doubt flowed through her veins like ice water. As fear gripped her, she faced an undeniable truth. The specter of her choice loomed heavily. Could she handle what was to be revealed? Would this reshape not only their lives, but redefine love, loyalty, and their very foundation? Racing thoughts merged with the fading joy of celebration, paving the way for an unanticipated reality set to collide with their existence. The silence enveloped Sarah, thick and suffocating, as Mark's father's gaze locked onto hers. There was an urgency in his expression, mingled with dread and something akin to resolve. She could feel the collective breath of the party held in anticipation, though the gentle clinking of glasses and whispering guests now felt distant, as if she was in another world altogether. Sarah's mind raced. She had spent years teaching children the value of honesty, of confronting difficulties head-on, yet here she stood, caught in a web of deception where every thread felt like an emotional anchor weighing her down. The weight of her father's actions, a man she once respected and loved, swirled violently in her thoughts. The trust fund wasn't just financial security, it was the very symbol of the future she envisioned for Lily. Suddenly, Mark's father cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. "I have something to say," he began, his voice steadier than it had been moments ago. Sarah felt a deep fear settle in the pit of her stomach. With each properly enunciated word, the implications unfolded in her mind like a dark tapestry. In that moment, Sarah's internal conflict erupted within her. How could she face not only the revelation, but also the possibility of her father's secrets suggesting a deeper treachery? In the eyes of those she loved, starting with Lily, she felt the responsibility shift like sand beneath her feet. They might lose their emotional foundation if they uncovered the truth. The thought was both intoxicating and debilitating. As Mark's father continued, detailing company mismanagement, unforeseen complications, the sense of betrayal escalated further. "Your father made decisions in haste, Sarah," he said, glancing away as if unable to fully meet her gaze. "His choices led to this." The words acted like an incantation, releasing the tidal wave of anxiety she had tried to suppress. She could feel the world unraveling, a slow-motion cascade of emotions spilling forth. The laughter and cheer around her muddied in complexity as she processed his confession. How could she pivot from this moment into something constructive? What could she do to shield Lily from the approaching storm? Sarah realized she had a choice. She could remain in this paralyzed state, or she could intervene now, reclaim some control, and begin to navigate through this conflict. She couldn't let fear dictate the course of their lives. The reality that emerged in front of her became intensely clear. She needed to address the destruction her father's actions might wreak upon her family. "I appreciate your honesty," Sarah interjected sharply, gathering her wits despite the muffled chaos surrounding her. But how could he allow this to happen? There was a definite shift in tension as Mark's father shifted in surprise at her boldness. She could see Mark, a few paces away, looking between his father and her, mouth slightly agape. The resolve to protect Lily surged in Sarah. No longer would she be an unwilling participant in the charade of familial legacy. If the truth meant exposing her father's mistakes, then perhaps it was necessary, even invaluable. At that moment, she realized her journey could guide her not only towards reclaiming her daughter's future, but also towards an awakening of deep familial ties that had been obscured by secrecy. Yet, as Mark's father looked at her with a mixture of respect and pity, a thought clung to Sarah's mind like an uninvited guest. Could revealing everything truly mend the fractures in their lives, or would it deepen the wounds? The answer hovered just out of reach, promising further turmoil. Taking a deep breath, she kept her gaze steady, movements pooling into a moment of self-discovery where her influence and strength stood ready to emerge. In that mix of anticipation and hope, an internal mantra whispered, the time had come to face more than just the fallout from her father's actions. It was the moment to confront the future on her terms. Seconds ticked by, and Sarah felt the rush of adrenaline course through her. She was ready to challenge everything she knew to be true. But would the revelation she sought bring liberation or devastation? Would it serve to rebuild their lives or unravel them completely? In that charged moment, she made her choice. "Let's uncover this together," she said quietly, yet with determination. But as uncertainty clung to her words like fog, she couldn't shake the realization that diving into this truth might prove far more dangerous than she could anticipate, leaving her to wonder what shadows lay ahead. The atmosphere shifted palpably as Sarah's declaration hung in the air, laden with unspoken fears and a burgeoning sense of purpose. She caught glimpses of disbelief, concern, and a flicker of hope in those around her. Mark shifted uncomfortably, brow furrowed as the implications dawned on him. This was no longer just about her father. It was about unveiling a facade built on secrets that had long twisted between generations. With every passing moment, the adrenaline coursing through her veins sharpened her focus. She couldn't afford to retreat into fear now. The stakes were too high. What had begun? As a gathering, a celebration, now transformed into a battleground of truths against the backdrop of familial loyalty. She felt the weight of eyes on her, but drew strength from their scrutiny. "Your father has made questionable decisions, Sarah," Mark's father ventured again, his tone shifting towards a cautious pleading. "Questionable? That's putting it mildly," she shot back, her voice echoing with an unexpected steadiness. "But we need to know everything, not just what you're comfortable sharing. Each word solidified her commitment to unveiling the chaotic tapestry of her father's choices and their repercussions. The need for clarity drove her. She owed it to herself and, most importantly, to Lily. She envisioned the life she craved for her daughter, built on transparency and resilience instead of fear and deception. A ripple surged through the crowd as they processed her boldness. Some began to murmur amongst themselves, while others remained frozen, caught in the web of her resolve. This was her moment of transformation, a pivot point from which she could either ascend or be shattered. With a deep breath, she summoned everyday memories, the laughter shared with Lily, the dreams envisioned for a future of promise. If we allow this mess to fester in silence, we risk losing everything. We can't hide from the truth any longer, even if it's painful. The tension in the room tightened, an invisible bond tethering their emotions. Mark's father, seemingly moved by her words, ran a trembling hand through his hair. "I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think you have a right to know how deep this runs." As he hesitated, thoughts whirled in Sarah's mind. Did she truly want to unearth potential skeletons that could further complicate their lives? The answer settled heavily. Yes, she did. Only then could they begin healing from this betrayal. "What exactly are you saying?" she pressed, urgency escalating within her. "Don't hold back. We need the full story to navigate through this." Mark's father took a deep breath, and for a brief, petrifying moment, the world around them faded into a blur. He recounted details that twisted Sarah's gut. A loan her father had secured with dubious assurances, a cascade of financial misjudgments leading to ruin, all stemming from a sense of entitlement that blurred ethical lines. As the truth unfolded, Sarah's resolve underwent a profound metamorphosis. She realized she was not merely stepping into the role of a protector for Lily. She was emerging as a leader in her own right, armed with knowledge that could forge a new path. Each revelation sharpened her focus, marking the beginning of her inheritance of agency, an opportunity to dismantle the shadows her father cast. Yet just as her own power began to dawn, discomfort crept in, a nagging fear of how these truths might shape her relationship with Lily. What if expressing all of this dismantled the very dream she sought to protect? The thought unsettled her serenity, amplifying the stakes of her chosen confrontation. Mark's cautious gaze met hers, reflecting confusion, but also an undeniable flicker of regard. "If I'm honest, I'm scared too, but I believe you're doing the right thing. Whatever happens, we can face this together." Sarah instinctively knew this moment was a crucible, molding her identity as a mother, a partner, and an individual, drawing strength from scars yet to be uncovered. As the pieces of her father's choices began to take shape, she felt the contours of a new life beginning to emerge, a life not dictated by the past. But the realization that awaited at the end of the tunnel lurked ominously. As they moved to untangle the threads binding them to her father, Sarah felt the phantom of doubt shadow her conviction. Would lifting this veil bring freedom, or would they merely uncover a deeper chaos? Taking a steadying breath, she resolved to face whatever lay beyond the truth. The roots of betrayal had been planted, but perhaps they could grow into understanding and resilience. As she prepared to navigate this uncharted territory, a thought struck. Was she prepared for the consequences of her choices? In that moment, Sarah lingered on the precipice of tomorrow's revelations, uncertain yet galvanized. She had taken the first step, but what awaited her and Lily at the end of this tangled journey would test the very fabric of their future, an uncertainty she was both terrified and ready to embrace. As the gravity of Mark's father's words settled over the room, Sarah felt a swell of conflicting emotions. Her conviction propelled her forward, yet uncertainty clawed at her edges. The air thickened with tension, each revelation like a heavy stone dropped into the well of her consciousness, rippling out into her thoughts about Lily and her fragile future. "Let's talk this over," Mark finally suggested, glancing at Sarah with an urgency that matched her own. His support anchored her, though she could see the storm of momentous decisions swirling in his eyes. They needed a plan. It was time to venture into the depths of the truth that had been cloaked in silence for too long. "We can't just sit here waiting for more revelations," she said, feeling a flicker of determination ignite within her. "I need to confront my father directly." Mark hesitated, chewing thoughtfully on the inside of his cheek. "Are you sure? He might not react well to being confronted, not after everything." "Better now than later, when the damage is deeper," she countered, her voice steadier than she anticipated. This was no longer merely about making sense of her father's actions. It was about reclaiming her narrative, for her own sake and for Lily's. The prospect of facing her father sent a shiver down her spine. Memories of his strict ways and admonitions of loyalty flickered in her mind, trying to drown her budding resolve. What if he dismissed her concerns? What if he turned angry? Yet deep down, a new voice whispered that she had already lost too much. Fear his wrath. As the small group dispersed, the murmurs of disbelief still fresh in the air, Sarah felt the need to strategize. She needed information, details that could guide her confrontational approach and frame the family's financial crisis accurately. Mark shared his father's insights about the loans, reminding her to tread carefully, but Sarah couldn't shake the urgency coursing through her veins. She unlocked her phone, and her thumb hesitated before dialing her father's number. This was the moment of truth. She had to unveil the monster of complacency that loomed over them. The line connected, and she took a breath, weighing her choices as the seconds ticked by. "Sarah?" Her father's voice was cautious, almost detached, as if expecting criticism. "Dad, we need to talk," she said, fighting the quiver in her voice. "It's about the loans." "I can explain." "No, you don't understand." She cut him off, her voice rising with a potency she had long suppressed. "You need to tell me everything. I'm tired of the secrecy. Lily deserves to know the truth just as much as I do." Silence fell heavy on the line, and she felt a knot swell in her throat. Would he view this as betrayal, or would he finally acknowledge the magnitude of his past mistakes? "Meet me tomorrow," he replied finally, defeat lacing his tone, and Sarah couldn't ignore the glimmer of hope it brought. Ending the call, she experienced a rush of adrenaline. She was taking control, unwilling to stand by any longer. This was a turning point, a crucible, where she could reshape the future for herself and Lily. The path ahead was fraught with unknowns, but Sarah felt emboldened. Each step was a deliberate movement towards autonomy, pulling her away from the constraints woven around her since childhood. Mark rejoined her, eyes displaying a mixture of support and apprehension. "How do you feel about it?" "The weightless uncertainty of it all is terrifying," she admitted, wondering if they were ready for the reckoning. "But it's necessary. I need to know how deep the roots run." As night fell, Sarah's mind churned with possibilities. Would confronting her father yield clarity or crush her spirit under the weight of painful truths? She needed to prepare not only for revelations about her father's past, but also for the possibilities about her bond with Lily. The thought of discovering hidden capabilities flickered in her mind. Could she be the architect of their new life? In that moment, as resolve coiled tightly around her heart, she set her sights on the future. The confrontation was just the beginning, an essential chapter in her journey toward liberation from her father's shadows, and the reconstruction of her relationship with her daughter. But in the back of her mind lingered a darker question. Was the truth capable of bringing them closer together, or would it irrevocably shatter the trust that had taken years to build? The stakes were monumental, tilting delicately on the edge of discovery and darkness. The morning arrived with an unsettling vibrancy, the sun spilling through Sarah's kitchen window like a harbinger of confrontation. As she ground her coffee beans, the familiar motion seemed grounded in a life that felt increasingly out of reach. Each coarse particle falling into the filter became a meditation on her decision to confront her father. She could scarcely shake the intuition that the confrontation would lay bare the complex webs of hidden lies and half-truths that had entangled their family. With each sip, her resolve solidified, and she mentally drafted the things she needed to say. No more evasiveness. She would demand straight answers, even if they cut deeply. Paradoxically, the thought of finally breathing free air, devoid of deceit and delusion, pushed her forward. Today would not allow her to retreat into the comforting illusions of her past. Clad in a simple white blouse, Sarah's appearance was deceptively calm, an armor against the tempest of emotions rolling just beneath the surface. Her reflection betrayed no hint of the storm brewing inside. The duality tugged at her. The poised professional she pretended to be in her daily life contrasted starkly with the daughter fighting to reclaim her identity from paternal oversight. Her mind flickered back to moments from her childhood, her father's lessons cloaked in wisdom but often tinged with rigid expectations. Would he recall those discussions with the same clarity today? The small talk that had veiled significant conversations echoed in her heart, each instance a reminder of the communication gaps they had never dared to bridge. As she drove to the agreed meeting place, a quiet diner that felt almost nostalgic, her heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. Each turn in the road symbolized the twists and turns of their relationship. How much longer would she navigate these emotional precipices? Arriving at the diner, Sarah took a moment to collect herself before stepping inside. The sense of coffee and fried food wrapped around her like a deceptive comfort blanket. There he sat, her father, his gaze fixed on the menu rather than seeking her presence. It was juxtaposed against the backdrop of the past. She was still the little girl waiting for validation, yet now wielding the sword of honesty. "Dad," she began, her voice steady but infused with tension, "we need to have a real conversation." He looked up, his expression a blend of surprise and defensive caution. "I thought we were talking about the loans." "It's more than that, and you know it." The words erupted from her mouth, unconfined. "This is about everything, the lack of transparency, the secrets that have threatened Lily's future and mine." His silence hung between them like a chasm, and in that instant, Sarah sensed the shift. The challenge she posed now stripped away the protective layers around her father. For the first time, she could see the man beneath the father. It terrified her. "I've tried to protect you two," he finally admitted, the weight of his confession setting a heavy, somber tone. "I thought I was sparing you from the kind of stress that could break you." "But you've put us in jeopardy instead," she shot back, her voice rising with passion. "What good were all those sacrifices if they only led us to this point?" A flicker of vulnerability crossed his face, and for a moment, Sarah believed understanding might finally connect them. But it faded quickly, as a wall built from years of fear and isolation sprang back into place. "I just wanted to keep things stable," he retorted defensively. "There are things you don't understand." "Then help me understand," she urged, her eyes locked onto his, challenging his retreat. "Tell me the truth, Dad, no more evasions." As the words settled, Sarah felt both exhilaration and fear, an abyss of their shared past finally demanding acknowledgement. His next words held the potential to sever ties or create a lifeline. But what if the truth turned out to be more damaging than all the lies combined? Would they emerge stronger or utterly shattered? Each tick of the diner's clock echoed the stakes, pitting her desire for clarity against the comfort of ignorance. "What you find out may change everything, Sarah," he said quietly, and the gravity of his words hung in the dense air between them. For a fleeting moment, she wondered if they both knew they stood on the cusp of something monumental. The time had come to dig deep, and Sarah prepared herself for revelations that could tear apart the very fabric of her life. The unsettling question lingered. Was she ready to uncover a truth that could redefine her past, her present, and the future she so dearly wanted for Lily? The diner's ambiance shifted as the weight of Sarah's father's words pulled like thick fog around them. Each tick of the clock seemed sharper, a metronome counting down to an inevitable revelation. Time in that moment felt disjointed, as if seconds had turned into an eternity, holding within them the potential to disrupt the very foundations of her existence. Sarah's heart raced, the collision of anticipation and anxiety thrumming through her veins. She had fought so hard to carve out her identity, yet the haunting specter of her father's words loomed, dark and ominous. "What do you mean by that?" she demanded, the steadiness in her voice tempered by the rising tide of fear. "I made commitments based on what I thought was right," he answered, his gaze momentarily flickering away, as if the truth were a creature too wild to be tamed in his heart. "I wanted to protect our family." "Protect us how?" she shot back, her pulse quickening. "By hiding the truth from us? Dad, I can handle the truth better than I can handle knowing I was kept in the dark." His expression hardened, the familiar armor of paternal authority rising in defense. "Some things are too painful to expose, Sarah. I didn't think you would understand." "But I'm not a child anymore." The frustration ruptured from her like a storm, raw and unfiltered. "You keep managing everything as if I'm still the same little girl who took your word as law. I'm a mother now. I deserve to know what's at stake for Lily." Her father's facade cracked. A flicker of remorse glinted in his eyes before he stilled himself once more. "What if knowing changes your relationship with me, with everything we've built together?" The tremor of vulnerability in his voice sent a shiver down her spine. This was the moment, the chance she needed to reconnect on a level far deeper than all their previous encounters. "We can't build on lies. You think what you've done is for us, but you're only constructing walls." She paused, letting her truth hang in the air, challenging him to respond. Seconds trickled by like sand through an hourglass, the weight of their shared silence tumultuous. "Everything you need to know is tied to the past, to the decisions that I thought were best for you," he finally said, each word hesitantly forming as if they were made of glass. "Then break the glass. Let me see," she pressed, her mind wrestling with the fear that had historically choked her into obedience. He exhaled heavily, the burden of the moment pressing heavily on his shoulders. "Lily's trust fund? It's not what you think. I used part of it to settle debts I accumulated, secrets that I couldn't bear to share with either of you." The admission trembled in the air, infecting the diner booth with an unease that could no longer be contained. The revelation sent shockwaves through Sarah's psyche. The thought of her father's reckless choices and the implications swirling around her daughter's future felt like a tide threatening to drown her. "You did what? How could you?" The disbelief surged through her, fueled by a concoction of anger and betrayal. "It was for the business," he defended weakly, but the words sounded hollow. "I thought I could repay it before you ever found out." "Repay it? You risked our future on assumptions. For all I know, it could destroy us." Her voice dropped, a whisper of despair, the implications weighing heavily as she contemplated Lily's future. As the silence settled again, a myriad of emotions swirled within her. Sorrow for the bond her father so carelessly neglected, anger at the deceit that had festered for years, and fear for her daughter. But beneath the acrid taste of betrayal, something began to ignite within her, a sense of agency emerging from the chaos. She had a choice now, a choice that felt like a clean slate amid the mess. The knowledge held a power she hadn't realized she possessed. They needed to face these truths, not only for themselves, but for Lily, whose fate hung precariously in the balance. As she collected her thoughts, it dawned on her that this was a defining moment, not just a confrontation that would shed light on her father's choices, a pivotal chapter in her journey toward reclaiming her narrative. "We need to fix this, Dad. Together. No more secrets." The urgency in her voice struck a chord, resonating in the depths of their fractured relationship. She sensed a shift, a fragile thread of hope that could weave their lives back together if they both found the courage to confront the past. But just as her father inhaled deeply, likely weighing his response, the bell above the diner's door jingled, and Sarah turned to see a stranger enter, their presence eerily interrupting the gravity of the moment. Her heart raced. Little did she know how this unexpected arrival would pivot the course of their conversation. "Who's that?" she whispered, the potential for new complications swirling with the revelations already sprawled beneath the surface. The unfolding destiny of their confrontation now hinged not only on her father's confession, but also on the unforeseen twist stepping into their lives. The figure that stepped into the diner, a stranger draped in an austere coat, seemed to absorb the light like a black hole. Sarah's senses sharpened, her gaze flicked back to her father, who wore an expression that teetered between apprehension and recognition. The air crackled with tension, an electric charge signaling a shift in the seismic undercurrents of their conversation. "Do you know him?" Sarah's voice quivered, uncertainty threading through her words. The stranger, moving with deliberate slowness, approached their booth, each step echoing the frosty silence that descended like a curtain. Her father shifted uncomfortably, his hands clenched tight over the edge of the table. I didn't expect him to show up here," he muttered, a hint of trepidation lacing his tone. Panic rippled through her, coiling around her heart. What other secrets lay entwined in the fabric of her father's choices? As the stranger reached their table, he paused, taking in the fractured scene before him, the father, the daughter, and the unspoken weight between them. "Sarah," he greeted, his voice smooth yet heavy with a seriousness that rendered the air still. "We need to talk." The words hung in the air, oppressive and potent. "About what?" Sarah demanded, a growing indignation sparking within her. She could feel her childhood instincts switch back on, positioning her as the wary child who used to defer to her father without question. But not now. That girl was gone. She fought against the urges pulling at her to react with anything other than strength. "About your daughter and the trust fund," he replied, unflinching. An icy shiver crawled down her back at the mention of Lily. Everything, her father's confession, the trust fund, the mounting uncertainty, swirled into a vortex of fear and an almost primal need to protect. "That's not your concern," her father interjected, the earlier resolve in his voice faltering under the weight of the stranger's gaze. "You don't know anything about this." "You're mistaken," the stranger shot back evenly. "I know more than you realize, and it's time Sarah understood everything." The tension fluctuated. The atmosphere thickened with unprocessed emotions. Sarah felt trapped in a chasm of dread and curiosity, battling the fear of what lay ahead and ignited by an insatiable thirst for truth. Struggling against the cyclone of uncertainty engulfing her, she clenched her fists, grounding herself. This wasn't just about her, it was about Lily's future. "Let's hear it then," she challenged, finding a raised chin and a steady voice where she had once felt a flurry of doubt. "What do you know?" The stranger's gaze flickered between Sarah and her father, gauging the dynamics before he spoke. "Your father made choices out of fear, but they've created ripples that extend beyond this diner. What he didn't tell you is that debts were not the only thing jeopardizing Lily's future." A profound silence enveloped the booth as Sarah's thoughts spiraled. Each sentence seemed like puzzle pieces, scattering her comprehension of the world she thought she had mastered. What are you talking about?" "Family secrets have consequences. Your father's mistakes go beyond finances." His voice lowered, placing emphasis on each syllable. "There are people involved, decisions made that put your safety and Lily's in jeopardy. We need to discuss this, now." Every instinct screamed in protest against her father, yet the stranger's revelation held a disturbing promise of clarity. The tiles beneath her feet felt unstable as the floor shifted under her reality. The mosaic of her existence had always felt disjointed, but now the fractures widened. "Who are you?" she demanded, voice strained and desperate for answers. The stranger stood rooted, eyes piercing through the storm churning within her. "I'm here to help you reclaim control over what's yours, but you have to trust me." Forsaking the shards of betrayal still gathering around her father's confession, a surge of resolve blossomed within her. Here was a chance to reclaim her narrative. Yet with each heartbeat, uncertainty tugged at the edges of her determination. She had to make a choice. to step forward into the unknown or retreat into the safety of ignorance. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet imbued with a newfound strength. "Let's get to the bottom of this. I want to know everything." As the words left her lips, she caught her father's gaze. A mix of alarm and something akin to pride flickered there. But beneath that surface, the depths of his truth remained shrouded, and with the stranger's words still hanging heavily in the air, a voice inside her screamed. The time had come to face what had been buried. But just as she steeled herself for the confrontation ahead, she caught the look in the stranger's eyes, fatally charged with urgency. Shadows of the past loomed closer, whispering ominously about the night that had yet to unfold. Sarah felt a swell of adrenaline as she absorbed the weight of the stranger's words. The reality of the moment crashed down on her, overwhelming her with questions she desperately needed answers to. The air felt heavier, charged with a... As the diner's fluorescent lights flickered overhead, she felt her heart racing, her palms clammy against the cool metal of the table. "What kind of choices?" she pressed, her voice steadier than she felt. She could sense the tension radiating from her father, thick as the haze of smoke that used to linger in the space when it was acceptable to light up indoors. Her childhood memories of the diner flooded back, a place of comfort, marred now by looming uncertainty. The stranger leaned in slightly, a gesture of intimacy she was wary of. "I can't disclose everything right away, but trust me when I say that there are people watching you. They know about Lily. Your father's past isn't just financial. It's connected to a more sinister network that exploits vulnerabilities. It's time for you to understand your family's history if you wish to ensure her safety." Her father swallowed hard. "This isn't right. I should have handled this myself," he interjected, his voice trembling. The panic in his eyes ignited anger within Sarah. While he had tried to shield her, he had failed to grasp the depth of her capacity to confront truth. Who was he to decide what she could handle? "No," she snapped, her voice rising involuntarily in a mix of frustration and fear. "You've kept me in the dark for too long. Listen to him. If there's a threat to Lily, I want to know." The stranger nodded, appreciating her resolve, though undercurrents of apprehension twisted inside her. There was a hidden layer to this conversation, one that hinted not only at her father's failings, but also the possibility of her own strengths yet to be discovered. What if she could unearth a hidden competency? Perhaps this tumult would forge her anew. Taking a deep breath, she leaned back against the booth, locking her gaze with the stranger's piercing eyes. "What do I need to do?" "First, you need to understand the risks involved. You should prepare yourself for the truth. It won't be easy," he responded, his tone shifting from urgency to an almost grave seriousness. As he spoke, she felt a primal instinct tugging at her, pushing her to confront whatever had been buried. Her father's face paled further, lines of worry deepening as he opened his mouth to object, but no words came forth. In that silence, Sarah knew this was not merely about financial arrangements or secrets hidden from her. It was ultimately about her strength and about claiming her autonomy. "Take me to whoever holds the information. I want to see for myself, to understand everything," she declared. The words came out with an unexpected ferocity, stirring something dormant within her. The stranger studied her, the faintest hint of approval glimmering behind his eyes. "That's the spirit, Sarah. But we can't just storm in unprepared. You must gather more than just the courage to face them. You need to become a strategist, to think ahead." Strategist? The term resonated deeply within her, whispering echoes of potential she had yet to unlock. She had been a caretaker, a mother, always accustomed to grounding herself in the needs of others. But the time for that role had come to an end. She was ready to rebuild herself in the face of adversity. "Yes," the stranger confirmed with a nod. Think of it not just in terms of familial betrayal, but what must be done to safeguard your daughter. This is your battle now. The seriousness of his gaze fortified her inner resolve. The weight of her choices settled on her shoulders, a mixture of dread and fierce determination. The pieces of her life, scattered and jagged, began to realign in her mind. This wasn't only about uncovering secrets, it was an opportunity for growth, to step into the role of protector, to evolve beyond who she had been. "Let's go," she asserted, her voice imbued with newfound authority. The diner, her childhood refuge, began to fade in her mind, replaced by the unknown path stretching out before her. Whether she would reclaim her future or face defeat was uncertain, but there was no escaping the pivot moment on the horizon. As they rose from the booth, a sharp intensity crackled between them, and she felt growth pulsating through her veins. Yet, despite her readiness, a seed of doubt still festered within. What awaited her at the end of this revelation? The question hung in the air, heavy and ominous. With each step toward the unknown, Sarah could feel the very essence of her evolving self grinding against the reality of what was to come. And as the door to the diner swung open, she felt the shadows of the past begin to follow, whispering unsolved mysteries in her ear. As they exited the diner, the cool night air seemed to invigorate Sarah, sharpening her focus. Each breath was a reminder of her responsibility, not just to unravel the tangled web surrounding her family's past, but to protect the life she had built for Lily. The sound of the door slamming shut behind them marked the closure of a chapter she had long disregarded. The stranger led the way, pausing periodically to glance back at her, gauging her readiness. Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety bubbling within as the city lights flickered around them. She leaned into the discomfort, accepting it as part of her transformation. If she was to become a strategist, she would first have to embrace the uncertainty and unpredictability of the path ahead. "Where are we going?" she asked, disrupting the silence that had settled between them. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her nerves. "To a safe location," he replied cryptically, "somewhere we can plan without interruptions." The seriousness in his tone sent a chill down her spine. She considered the weight of his words and the implications of the shadows lurking behind her, those watching her every move. This was far beyond what she had imagined when she first entered the diner, seeking comfort. Now it felt like she was stepping into a deeper, darker reality, one where she alone would have to act. As they crossed a street, thoughts raced through her mind. What was the nature of her father's past? What kind of enemies had he made? More importantly, how was she supposed to navigate this new landscape? The pieces of herself that she'd set aside, the woman who had once been ambitious, were urging her to resurface. They reached a nondescript building, its exterior gray and uninviting, yet the flickering lights inside revealed a bustling cafe. The stranger led her through the door and into a back room that seemed set up for secrecy. Shadows danced across the walls, hints of the planning that lay ahead. "Sit." The stranger's voice held a commanding authority, and for a moment she hesitated. As she settled into one of the booths, her heart pounded in her chest, a rhythmic reminder of her burgeoning resolve. It was in this duality, fear mixed with newfound determination, that she began to see the essence of her progressing transformation. No longer was she merely a caretaker or a bystander in her life. She was on the brink of becoming a protector. "First things first," he said, pulling out a notepad and pen. "We need to outline everything your father failed to prepare you for. You'll need allies, information, and a plan." "Okay then," she responded, feeling a shift in her own voice as she straightened her posture with burgeoning confidence. "Let's start with my father. What do we know about his debts, the people he owes?" The stranger nodded, impressed by her swift pivot into strategy. "He was involved with a group that trades in information. They use it to manipulate powerful figures, often targeting their vulnerabilities. Your family's financial issues only scratch the surface." Sarah's mind whirred, connecting the dots. It was no longer just her father's burden, it was theirs now. This was her battle to fight, and she needed to confront the truths that would inform her every decision from this point forward. "Are you ready to hear about how deep this goes?" he asked, his eyes narrowing as he gauged her reaction. With a steadying breath, Sarah nodded. Every revelation about her father from this moment on would be a key to unearthing her hidden competencies. "I am. Let's not waste any time." As he began to scribble down the initial details, Sarah felt a wellspring of emotions bubbling beneath the surface. Fear, determination, but most poignantly, the sense of her identity reforming. She was rewriting her narrative, stepping into her strength with fervor. Yet another thought nodded at her. What if her strategies exposed her to the same threats her father had faced? What sacrifices would she have to make? The stranger paused, meeting her gaze again. "This isn't just about your family anymore, Sarah. The decisions you make will impact Lily's future too. Are you truly ready to step into this role?" With that question hanging in the air, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility pressing in around her once more. The path ahead would be fraught with hardship and uncertainty, yet it beckoned her forward, promising a chance for resilience that she had never realized she possessed. As she absorbed this revelation, the stakes grew ever clearer. The time had come for her to not just plan, but also confront the confrontation waiting in the shadows. What lay ahead would not just test her newfound authority, it would demand every ounce of strength she could muster to protect those she loved. Would she emerge whole, or would those very shadows consume her? The stranger leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Soon, we'll need to face them, those who threaten your family." A chill crept up her spine as determination surged through her veins. It was time for the truth, and Sarah was ready to confront it head-on. But would she find the strength necessary to expose her father's old enemies, or face defeat against the past? The immediacy of Sarah's situation intensified as the stranger's words crystallized her purpose. She could feel the adrenaline surging in her veins, fueling her determination to protect Lily at all costs. This wasn't merely about her father's hidden transgressions. It was a fight for the very future she had envisioned for her daughter, the future that had suddenly become precarious. "Let's outline our approach," she said, her voice steady and resolute. Empowered by the urgency of the moment, the former teacher within her came alive, ready to strategize and course-correct. The lingering doubts had transformed into a fierce commitment to reclaim her narrative, and she realized that this process was as much about self-discovery as it was about solving the financial plight of her family. "First, we need to gather information about the group your father got involved with," the stranger replied, his pen poised on the notepad, ready to record their plan. "Okay," Sarah replied, feeling her assertiveness take root. "I have a few contacts from my past job that could be helpful." They began to sketch out a game plan, mapping angles of attack, identifying allies, cataloging potential threats. With each suggestion, Sarah experienced a shift from passive observer to active participant. The thoughts that had once felt constrained, trapped beneath layers of paternal expectations and societal norms, began to flow freely. The fear that had threatened to engulf her was dissipating, replaced by the clarity that came from understanding the stakes involved. "Next, we need to confront your father," the stranger suggested cautiously. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, drawing an unyielding silence into the room. "Confront him?" Sarah echoed, heart racing. "Don't you think he's already faced enough shame?" "Perhaps," he answered, "but if you're going to navigate this landscape, you must know what he truly understands. Only by laying everything bare can you forge ahead." The reality of this suggestion clawed at her insides. Facing her father, the man who was supposed to be her steadfast protector, felt daunting, yet she no longer hesitated. Somewhere deep within, she recognized that reconciliation could only be built on truth. It would establish a new foundation for her role as a mother, a resilient force ready to take a stand for her daughter. As the night unfolded, details accumulated around them. Ideas flowed like water, and what had once seemed surreal began morphing into actionable items. "By the end of this week, we need to have a meeting with your father," Sarah declared, the authority in her voice surprising even herself. The stranger nodded, respect lining his features as he acknowledged her fortitude. All right, but we need to tread carefully. His defenses will go up when he feels cornered, he warned. Then we'll approach it strategically, she replied. I'll bring a stakeholders list, questions about the debts, everything necessary to uncover the truth without triggering his defenses. In that exchange, Sarah found more than resolve. She discovered her voice, her capacity to guide and direct. The shadows of the past, the fears and betrayal, they lingered, but they no longer defined her. Instead, they now fueled her drive as she prepared to reclaim her identity, one step at a time. As they continued outlining their strategy, Sarah felt the weight of her growing confidence. The sense of transformation coursed through her, intertwining with clarity of purpose. She was no longer just a daughter, but a protector ready to shield her child from the consequences of her father's misdeeds. She envisioned a powerful future for Lily, one filled with honesty, resilience, and an unwavering sense of freedom. Days later, the meeting arrived. Adrenaline coursed through Sarah's veins as she stood before her father's door. Her mind shifted back to the vulnerabilities they had both laid bare just days ago, and the secrets that had remained hidden for far too long. In this moment, she was fortified by the knowledge that she was not merely seeking answers for herself, but for Lily, for the legacy she wanted to create. The door opened. Her father's face reflected a mixture of dread and tentative hope. "Sarah," he began, but she raised her hand, cutting him off. "We need to talk," she said, voice steady. As they sat down, Sarah felt the air change, charged with possibility. "I need you to explain everything, the financial decisions, the mistakes, the whole truth." She could sense the vulnerability bloating in the room, a raw confrontation both of them had been avoiding for years. With every word her father shared, Sarah's sense of understanding deepened. Her father laid bare not only his failures, but also the fears that had driven his past decisions, his misguided attempts to shield them from the harsh realities he faced. The shame that had once felt suffocating began to dissipate as she recognized the complexity of their relationship, both of them imperfect in different ways. "I see now how much your decisions affected us," Sarah interjected, her voice imbued with a departure from criticism towards an understanding rooted in compassion. "But we need to repair this, for Lily." The emotional weight shifted. No longer was it just a conversation of blame, but a collective commitment to rebuild. It was the first seed of healing planted firmly in the broken soil of past betrayals. By the conversation's end, Sarah's expectations about both her father and herself transformed significantly. She had reclaimed her narrative, confronting demons with love and honesty rather than fear. There was still uncertainty ahead, but it was no longer a barrier. Instead, it became an opportunity to face adversities together, evolving toward a more secure and transparent foundation for the family. As she left her father's home that day, she felt an overwhelming sense of liberation. The journey ahead would require vigilance and fortitude, but Sarah had discovered something vital along the way. She was capable of navigating chaos, ready to forge a path fueled by authenticity and resilience. And in her heart, Sarah felt a swell of pride, knowing that this journey, the difficult confrontations, the truths unveiled, was not just about surviving, but thriving in the assurance that love could conquer even the darkest shadows. Now, feeling empowered, Sarah whispered to herself the promise she had made to Lily: "Together, we will rise." If you found Sarah's journey inspiring, you need to subscribe now to our channel. Don't wait even one more second to share this epic conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to hear this story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our mission. And comment your thoughts on this transformative ending. Your engagement makes a difference and means the world to us. Now, feeling empowered, Sarah whispered to herself the promise she had made to Lily: "Together, we will rise."